and gentlemen, step right up. Come see the elephant. Hey guys, what's happening? It's March 12th, 2026. Can you believe that? I started doing this show in November of 2009. That was a minute ago. At the time, there was no other music manufacturers that I know doing this. I did it just, I don't know when. And here it is, 2026. Anyway, I've got the Empire. This is the Empire 2.0, which I need to sell it. We need to make money to get the new 65 amps off the ground. I have a contract manufacturer online. I need to round up some cash real quick because I haven't sold that first batch of amps until they're made. So if you want to help, and I'm selling this guitar. This is a custom shop 58 Junior reissue. It's about a year old. And the only place I played it is here on the show. So it's 4 or 5 hours of playing. I'm digging the combination though. This is on the second channel of the Empire, which is more like non-master volume Marshall thing. It's got a little bit of a thing going on. Go up to the third channel, a little more gain. It's not really pushed, it's on 6, which is where I started. I really like doing Beatles chord progressions only with modern guitar sounds because the songs are so well written. It really holds up. Like that was It Won't Be Long Now, right? It won't be long. It won't be long now. Till I belong to you. Since you left me, I'm all alone. Now you're coming. It works, doesn't it, as a rock song? Yeah. They won't be long. You know what else works really well as a rockin' song is Please Please Me, right? If I could play it right. Anyway, what's going on in the music business world? I guess you guys probably all saw the article that Fender finally got their patent protected for the shape of a Stratocaster. So after this, anyone who is making a Stratocaster shaped guitar, I don't know if they can still do it or not, or they have to pay Fender a license fee. I don't know how it worked out, but that's a big change because how many guys make Stratocaster shaped guitars? like 75% of the people that make guitars. I don't know. What's going on, dogs? Oh, Darla, is there somebody outside you want to kill? Border Collie, they don't hurt a fly. It's a kind of a joke. Border Collie joke. Darla, come here. What are you doing? Photobombing my show. You can hear how good this guitar rings. It's all set up. This has the Nashville bridge, Joe Glazer's bridge that he designed with, hey, Hoss Thompson, how are you, buddy? Mike Leapshot, hey, how are you guys? Good to see you, good to see you. And then Michael the Temple did his fossilized mastodon ivory nut, so it makes it makes it ring. And these strings are probably 4 months old now. Rings, huh? Anyway, so we are at that point right now. Scotty Bratcher, they must be sucking up some air if they're going to start suing over their guitar shape after 72 years. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I could argue both sides of it. It's definitely their intellectual property. When you see that, you say Stratocaster shape. And Stratocaster is a registered trademark of Fender Musical Instrument Corporation. However, as you correctly point out, Scotty, glad you're here, by the way, buddy. As you correctly point out, they sure took their time. I think there's been lawsuits going on for decades. Hey, what's going on over there? Trip, what are you doing? Sorry, I hear suspicious dog noises. Yeah, man, it's been a long time. I know there have been lawsuits going back to the 90s, I think. Even Leo Fender, when he started G&L, and then, with Music Man and Ernie Ball, they didn't copy it exactly. Even Leo Fender, after he sold the company, was like, no, let's don't copy it exactly. It suggested a Strat, but it wasn't a Strat. The Ernie Ball Music Man headstock's really different. And G&Ls were close, but they weren't, you never mistook them for a Strat, So I can kind of see both sides of the argument. If I owned Fender or I worked at Fender, I would certainly want to protect my intellectual property, But at the same time, as you say, after 72 years, like, come on, man. Like, it's kind of crazy. Charles Freeborn says, Porsche owns the copyright to the number 911. Ask me how I know. I can guess. I kind of, it's a P90, so it makes a little noise. I kind of cut my teeth in the 80s. So there's some good rock sounds from there, some good rock guitar sounds from there. This seems I'm doing it. I don't have any pedals on except for the echo. Hear a little room echo there. So I think the complicated part, Charles Freeborn says, I made a product with just that number and got an email from legal in Germany. Yeah, they don't mess around. 911's pretty distinctly associated with Porsche. I dabbled. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, right? And I worked at an intellectual property law firm. And there's it's not a black and white thing. It's whether it causes market confusion. I don't know if you were making a car or not, but even if something says 911 on it, like if I made an amp called a 911, people would assume there's some association with Porsche. But yeah, it's an ugly business. It's a very ugly business, and it doesn't make sense until you're on the other side of it. That like I've had people steal my look, and there's big amp companies. There's one especially that has a vent looks just like this. Guess what? I hadn't protected that as intellectual property. It does cause market confusion. If I wanted to waste a bunch of money on lawyers, I would have prevailed. Scotty says, I agree with both points. At this point, there will be hundreds of companies that will be crushed by that copyright. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to watch it play out. So that's the question. What's going to happen? Oh, you put a little thing on Etsy. So yeah, the Germans are a little uptight, aren't they? They're a little particular. We have ways to protect our intellectual property, yeah? Yeah, every guitar manufacturer pretty much on earth makes a guitar that looks like a Strat. Not everyone, but 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. They make... So they already went through the headstock thing. I guess that was about 20 years ago. Maybe a little more, where everybody had to change their headstock just slightly. That's why you see all these guys, their headstock's just a little different. Hoss Thompson brings up also 9/11 has a different meaning. I got married right before 9/11. I got married September 8th. So yeah, it means something else too. But anyway, I can see both sides of this argument pretty well. I would hope they would say something along the lines of, you can sell your existing stock, and after that we need you to make some changes to the guitar so it's not mistaken to be a Fender. I don't think they really are, but some people, new to the game might do it. I don't know. Excuse me. Let's go a little less gain, see what happens. Excuse me, I still have a little bit of that tiny cold left in the back of my throat. Little old you, Charles. Well, apparently you're a big threat to a huge German corporation. That's a badge of honor, really. Man, I can't wait to start playing amps acoustically again for you. Right now, this is just an IR. I'm using the Marshall 412 IR that's in the aux box here. It sounds good. It doesn't sound amazing. I can mic a cabinet and make it sound way better. I have this one Celestion speaker from the 70s, and I have into a 112 that sounds ridiculous. And Celestion wants to copy it, and so does Eminence. So yeah, let's try to get that done. And I have a box back here with a Jensen concert in it from the 60s, which is also one of my favorite speakers ever. Serious rock thing going on. Whoops. So not to make excuses, but so I'm sitting here playing guitar, trying to speak in complete sentences while I read the comments going down here and watching some other stats on the screen. Danny Merritt, hey buddy, how are you, neighbor? What a nice surprise. Thanks for jumping by. Coming by, jumping in. So that's the mid gain thing. I'm going to go back to the higher gain. the new sound of the Empire. It is for sale. Make me a good offer. So we're getting 65 running again. So I need a little bit of working capital to get our first build going here soon. Let's go down to the lowest gain setting here and get a little twang. So anyway, yes, if I screw up here, I'm trying to read and sort of look into the camera and talk into the microphone and play guitar at the same time. So pardon me if I F things up. So what's going on with 65? Got our contract manufacturer online right now, just kind of waiting on a little price quote, which should be any day. And then I can go back and get a build going. There's Itchy Dog behind me. Darla, what are you doing? What are you doing, Scratchy Mama? And then we can prototype and have amps out this summer. So we're going to make, unless you haven't heard already, I'm going to make 2 of the legacy amps to start off with. We might make more in the future, but just to get started, the Little Elvis and the Stone Pony, because they're still really sought after. And then my high current, low voltage prototype, which right now is set up for 6L6s. I want to do it, with all the major tubes, EL34s and EL84s and 6V6s and 7591s. So you'll have very reliable, safe tube amps that work. And also go down to low as 2.5 watts, 3 watts. And sound correct. Hoss, were you down in London? I miss London too, a lot. Actually, I miss England a lot. So, I lived in, Hoss, I lived in Fulham. Oh my God, Darla, come on. That'll do. It's a mailman. He comes every day. You're fine. Pretty funny dogs. SW6 in Fulham, right by Putney Bridge. Were you in that neighborhood at all? Yours indeed. Incidentally, Sir Chris Wren. Oh, might be suing the White House for copyright. Infringement of his domes. Yeah, well, hey man, that's all fair stuff. Yeah, Mr. Wren did a lot of good work in London, right? What took you over to Fulham? Were you like Chelsea on King's Road, like shopping or something? Or go to Hammersmith and hang out with all the cool hip kids? So now you know what song that is, right? So now we can heat it up. You were in Greenwich and then Central. Oh, okay. Yeah, Greenwich is out on the east end of the river. I was on the west. But Greenwich is great. Greenwich is so much different than when I lived there, too. Like East London in general is great. It used to not be great. out of tune here. G is for Gibson. G string. These songs still work, don't they? Eighth notes, right? Oops. Augmented fifth. Anyway. Yeah, I would like to go back. Uber boats are incredibly cool. Yeah, you can't really drive in central London anymore, can you? Without huge... oh, stop it. You know, I don't know why this is, but I get like 10 messages a day from people wanting to give me loans. I didn't apply for a loan. I didn't ask for it. So isn't there huge like tolls now to drive in London, like £6 to cross the bridge? Push this middle channel a little harder. A little bit of too much bass in there, isn't there? Roll the bass back. Yeah, there we go. £12.50. Congestion. Holy shit. That's a whole lot of money. I used to drive in London. I'd cross bridges all day long. Couldn't imagine. So it's a day pass then. So you can go back and forth. £18 to £21 an hour. I was hoofing it. Yeah, screw that. You can just buy a car for £18 a day. They really don't want you to drive in London anymore. I get that. One of the things I noticed that I thought was really funny when I was there is that the streets were clearly not designed for cars. They were designed for horses and carriages. And they're really narrow and they congested instantly. And when I was there, you could see, I don't know what it's like now, but there were still very high octane leaded gasoline for sale at the pumps. Like you could buy 97 octane leaded gasoline, and man, did that leave a residue on the buildings. Like you could see it. There was grime and schmutz and smog and everything. This is down on the cleanest channel. I'm just kind of hitting it hard. Good crunchy rock and roll sound. But back it off a little bit. Rob Price, waiting to see what the New York City tolls will be. Yeah. They mail them to you. I had to go there on Tuesday to the Spanish consulate so my wife can get her Spanish citizenship. Oh, all right. Was she not a U.S. citizen? Just a resident alien or something like that? Yeah, they've cleaned it all mostly now. You can't get leaded anymore. Yeah, I know. I was 30 years ago when I was there, more than 30 years ago. See, when did I move there? I moved there 36 years ago. Jesus Christ. Time is, there's a technical term for it. How do you say it? Time is motherfucker. Time is a motherfucker. And electric cars are really getting adopted in Britain, aren't they? I know a friend of mine in Norway was telling me that like 75% of all cars sold in Norway now are electric. Which kind of negates that argument of, solar panels and all that stuff don't work in northern latitudes. Like, it works pretty darn good in Norway, where the sun comes out 3 times a year. Ooh. Yeah, I need new strings on this guitar. That was the song I was hearing. Let me screw it up for you. I did not get a warm up today. You can see I'm 60 and the joints get a little stiff. Yeah, my wife is Argentine, but raised in Brazil. That's right. I just didn't know her citizenship. None of my business. I don't know why I even asked. I was just curious. But Spanish citizenship goes a long way. It means you can live anywhere and work anywhere in the EU, right? So. I like that big. Yeah, lots of stealth cars about now. They're suspiciously quiet, those electric jobs. Yeah. I always have to tell people, because I recognize them, and they go, how can you tell it's electric? I go, there's no tailpipe. What? There's no tailpipe on the car. Immediately you can see. LA is catching up to Europe. I know the rest of the US maybe not as much, but LA, like I'm the only person on our block here that does not have an electric car now. We're the Luddites that have regular cars, only because we drive cars a long time, and I like to buy a used car and drive it into the ground, just for budgetary reasons, not so much for tree hugging reasons. Although I am all in favor of electric cars. I love electric cars. I'm not going to buy another gas car unless it's a vintage car. So I have a older BMW convertible that I love. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's great. It runs great. It's mechanically sound. I paid it off a long time ago. And I can put the top down, which is great in Los Angeles. We can only ride with the top down about 330 days a year here. It's not every day, but most days. And I love that. Anyway, we're talking cars, we're talking fuel, we're talking citizenship. What else can we bring up on Strum and Tell with Dan Boul? I'm trying to avoid all the obvious shit, like I paid $6 a gallon for premium yesterday, which I know is probably still... Hey, Canute, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. You're going to be in... where? Hey, somebody's got to stop doing that, Trip. Stop doing that now. Sorry, damn dog's driving me crazy. You're going to be in... Washington State. Oh, yes, Snohomish. If you're due for a trip up, that's a pretty good trip from here. That's about a 20-hour drive from here. It takes a long time just to get out of California if I go straight north. I think it's about 12 hours just to get out of California. And then I have to go through Oregon. And, hey, man, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to fire you. You're going to be on the unemployment line. You understand me? Man, I hate it that you're in the U.S. though, and we won't be able to see each other. It'd be pretty tough for me to get up there, to be honest with you, Hoss. No one knows what it's like to be a sad man. Yeah, California is larger than Britain. Area-wise, I think, or if it's very close, if it's not. Britain, I remember, so I grew up in Missouri, which is in the middle of the country. Britain's just a little bit larger than Missouri. If you look on the map, I think England is roughly the size of Missouri. And you throw in Scotland, which is not very big area-wise, and Wales, which is tiny. Wales is about the size of the valley I live in. And Northern Ireland is even smaller than that, right? Rob Price says, I will be able to get Spanish citizenship eventually if I learn more Spanish eventually. I know the word gorda because my wife renamed one of my cats that because it likes to eat. Yeah, gordo is fat. Gorda is lady fat. Remember at Taco Bell, the gordito. Well, I live where people speak Spanish all the time. And I can't really converse well in Spanish, but I can understand it pretty well. Yes, Hoss, let me talk you through the Empire 2.0. Sounding great from here. Thanks, man. I'm just playing through an IR. If you like this, it'll sound way better in person. So let me backstory this a little bit. When we released the Empire, we weren't completely thrilled with it. We liked it. I loved the first channel. I loved the second channel. The third channel needed some work. But we thought, well, we'll go to NAMM, we'll display it, and then before we start delivering, we'll sort out channel 3. I mean, it literally made it in another day's worth of work or something. It was really close. We went to NAMM, everybody loved it. And we got a lot of orders. Like, we were buried, not only for the Empire, but for, the other amps we were making at the time, too. And we just decided, screw it, let's just go with it. If people complain, we'll change it. No one complained. Peter thought it was there was too much bass in it, which is fine. I like a big fat sounding amp. He likes more of a punchy amp, So over the years, we've always kind of thought, it'd be fun to go back and polish off the Empire. So our buddy that you've talked to and met before, Mike, and Mike did all the work, really. We just kind of modernized it. It's a little less bright. There's not a huge circuit changes on there. It's more tonal shift. And then that affects the way the distortion comes about. But now channel 3 is great. And this is P90. I should be playing something else, but it was kind of wild before. Now it's good. I can push it a little harder. So that noise has come from the pickup, right? Hear that? P90 pickup off, on. But I need to sell this guitar too, so I got to play it. We're close, man. I don't need that much money to get building. So channel 3 works great, and it's all on a foot switch. I just don't have a foot switch hooked up, but you can switch through the channels, and then there's the bump, right? It's still on, which is also on a foot switch. So with the little bump action, I've had the bump off this whole time, right? Gets a little bit wild. A little bit into 800. It's more like modified Mark II. That makes sense, which are very, very close. I actually really like a Mark II master volume a lot more than a JCM 800. They're fun. It's just not my thing. But so this is more sort of that modified Mark II master volume. That sounds really nice to me. So with the bump on, we go back to the middle channel. It's got that sort of thing, right? You go down to the cleanest channel, you're getting more into what I was doing earlier, like. You can hit those notes, Hoss. Long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. And if you want to go all the way up to more modern stuff, right? I like that riff because the chords are complex. If you can make out those chords, a lot of really dirty amps, you cannot make out those chords when you play that stuff. Yeah, a little humbucker action be a little tighter probably. Anyway, you get the idea. It does a lot of good sounds, a lot of great rock sounds, a lot of good rock and roll sounds, whatever you want to do. You can get down here and do the, you know. Yeah, you get it, Hoss. Thank you. Lots of lovely note separation and clarity. That is the goal. I wouldn't expect anything else from you, but credit where credit's due. Oh, thanks, man. It's very kind. The Empire is a really great amp. I'd like to do an updated version of it when we switch over to printed circuit boards with our new manufacturer. You know, it's been a long time. I think we did the Empire in, 2009, maybe? 17 years ago? We've all learned a little bit since then, so we'll make it good. I don't know if you guys can see the LEDs popping on. Webcam's not the best. The Empire's in driver's head. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Echo there. Let me turn that down. There we go. I see. 17. It's Driver. Gotcha. Yeah. Paul McCartney wrote a song about that. She was just 17, if you know what I mean. Can't couldn't write that song today, could you? Like one of my favorite Chuck Berry songs is Sweet Little Rock and Roller. And there was no ugly overtones to it at all, you know, but the first line is 9 years old and cute as she can be. And he's talking about a child. Little girl that likes to, he saw at one of his shows that came to see the rock and roll show with her dad, with her parents, and was dancing in front of the stage, and he thought it was cute. Nothing weird or pedo about it. Chuck was definitely a strange dude, but I don't think he was a pedophile. But you can't play that song or sing it anymore. Even Rod Stewart, when he redid it in the 80s or 70s, which is one of my favorite covers ever, he sings 19 years old and as sweet as she can be. And even that's kind of, I don't know, man, by today's standards, right? 19 years old and sweet as she can be, all dressed up like a downtown Christmas tree, dancing and singing a rock and roll melody. She's the daughter of a well-respected man who taught her how to judge and understand. And she became a rock and roll music fan. There you go. She was 33. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, that sweet little rock and roller. Sweet little rock and roller. And Daddy don't have to scold her. Sweet little rock and roller. Man, come on. That doesn't get any better than that. I mean, that's a song. That's a rock and roll song right there. Anyway. Yeah. She was just 33. Yeah, works for me. Well, man, we're getting like 1:45 here. I got to leave in a little bit, but let's talk guitars and amps and 65 amps. Or any questions you have? I know I've been dragging out this subject of, hey, we're going back into production. But man, the world got pretty damn weird when we decided to do this. The way she parked was way beyond... Yeah, we're going to do the politically correct bent over backwards version of the song, right? Well, my heart went golly. When my heart went boom when she swept the room. You know, oh, he's got a thing for the maid. Anyway, the world got pretty upside down. Like last year, we were ready to go. There's two parts there. Well, my heart went boom. Yeah. Let me get a little more out of this channel, maybe. Just a little more. way she parked the car was way beyond compare. Yeah. I like that. Maybe some math reference in there too. Like, how could I do calculus with another? Anyway, the hell was I just talking about? Oh, hi, Darla. Oh, I got a dog here. Hi, little mama. You want to come up? You want to come up? Come here. Say hi to everybody. Come on, up, up. Darla is our newest rescue, and she was being abused. And she was a farm dog, and we took her in about a year ago, and she's getting really, really good. She's finally lost most of that PTSD that she had from getting the crap beat out of her all the time. Darla, come here. What are you doing? Come say hi to everybody. Anyway, so a year ago, we had a lot of money lined up, a lot of money, like enough money to run for 3 years and get the whole company going. And then the tariffs hit. Hi, buddy. I got another dog over here now. You guys should jump up and say hi to everybody. People like dogs on the show. Everybody here knew your buddy Champ. Now, you don't remember Champ, but Trip, you remember Champ. Champ was your big brother. There's Darla. Hi, Darla. What are you doing, girlie? Yeah, I see you. Yes, you're a happy little border collie, aren't you? Yeah, sweet girl. Okay, there we go. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. Upsy doodle noodle. Come on. Come on. Come on. Up, up. Jump up. Jump up and say hi. Everybody's into it. And Trip's right over here. Trip will say hi. Anyway, sorry, I'm a dog guy. I'm getting invaded by dogs here. So the tariffs came in, and everybody got spooked, and we waited. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. And then the tariffs came off, a few weeks ago. And everybody called me and said, hey, let's do this thing. Let's get back to business, which is great. And I still have to cross this hurdle of getting some amps in production. And there's a girl. Hi, Darla. Yeah. Getting some amps in production, getting some dealers back online. And yeah, Hosh, you know Border Collies, right? So this little girl is just amazing. She's still young. She's still a juvenile. Hi, sweetie. I know. I see you. I love you too. Yes, you are my girlfriend. That's for sure. Also, Hosh, you know that red dogs don't herd very well. And she doesn't have the blaze. So the guy couldn't figure it out. He was beating her because she was an ineffective herder. Not for trying, not for lack of trying. She was amazing. But she doesn't have the markings that sheep's vision respond to. So he's officially an asshole. Anyway, so the tariffs came off, whatever that was, a month ago, 3 weeks ago. Everybody's back in business. And at the same time, I was able to call this contract manufacturer that I'm working with, who's great, really excited about it, and say, all right, let's proceed, because I think I can get the money together to do an initial build. I have a lot of dealers that have confirmed to me verbally, yeah, if you're making amps, I'm buying, right? So, but I don't have POs yet because I don't know what it's going to cost to make, and I'm going to know soon. And then while we're making the Little Elvis and the Stone Pony, I'll be working on the high current thing. So getting that into production, which will take a while, probably a few months. And then the little bitty amp, which I'm still keeping under wraps right now, has been stalled also. So anyway, excuse me, the machine's back on, is I guess the short way of saying it. Sorry to hem and haw. The machine's back on, and we're going to start making product here, and we should be shipping product. It's March right now, so April, May, June, July. We should be shipping mid to late summer, if I'm being realistic, if everything goes correctly. And it's just going to be a little bit, basically Little Elvises and Stone Ponies. We have to go through this process. We need to make a prototype. We need to do a side-by-side comparison with the old ones. We are going to make some functional upgrades on them. Oh, thanks, man. I think the speed bumps will make it all the better when you get the old band back together. Thanks, man. I appreciate your positive attitude. I wish you were here. I could use that sort of counseling quite a bit. It's been kind of tough, I got to admit. Like, it's a little, I've had to have some patience. That's good P90 sound, I think. Yeah, I've had to kind of look inside. In the meantime, I, of course, racked up an uncomfortable amount of credit card debt keeping this going. So I need to get things moving. I need to sell some gear. I need a little hand if you guys are interested in an amp or a guitar. I'll cut you a really good deal on it. Save you at least $1,000 over what you would pay normally on the guitar and the amp. So let me know if you're interested. Just message me on Facebook or Instagram, or my email is danboul@me.com, DANBOUL@me.com. So I'm not hard to find. Yeah, I'm digging this. In my headphones, it sounds really good. Let me give this a little more heat here. And then channel 3. Push that a little harder so they're all pretty parallel. I never really liked Foreigner that much. I just like the sound of the guitar, right? Whoops. Oh, what am I playing? Ah, there it is. It's F with a 9 on top. You can even do that with less gain, right? Man, Hoss, that's really kind. Thank you. I'm here, buddy. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Good things never come easy. Boy, this certainly has not. It's been a weird time in history. So now we have this new thing going on that could affect the world economy. I don't want to say the word because it just makes me sick to my stomach, but it could affect the world economy very drastically, and so I hope we're all insulated from that. No, Rob, it's fine. So it'll be a head, or you can get a little bitty combo. I'm working with Eminence right now to make some very small speakers that have a lot of girth to them, so it doesn't sound like a little amp. But you will be able to connect to the PA system, either hardwire if you want. It'll also have Bluetooth in it, so you can. And I want to put an ADDA in it as well. It's going to have a lot of features. So you can just plug it right into your computer. Play IRs if you want. I'll have some preloaded, just like 5 IRs, you know, Marshall, Fender, Vox, basic IRs, right? There is sort of the, what's going on over here? There is sort of the plethora of IR conundrum, which I think people really only need about 5 to do their jobs, because 95, 97% of everything you've ever heard in your life was recorded on 5 amps. So even today, when you go to big studios, they've got a Plexi, they've got a Deluxe, they've got a JCM 800, they have some boutique amp, often it's a 65, and then there's a super high gain amp. Some guy, they just record well. That's so what you're listening to. A lot of times when people go, oh, I love the sound of this or sound of that, and I know they play X amp on stage, oftentimes not what they actually recorded with. Because when you're in the studio, you can add a a lot to the sound of the amp with your outboard gear. So every record has a compressor on it. I'm going to set this guitar aside. Anyway, I need to sell this. Got a brand new nice case. The guitar's about a year old. Maybe has 7 or 8 hours of playing on it. Maybe. And the nut's been redone. Michael DeTemple reshaped the fretboard, everything. It's plays like a mofo. So anyway, when you're in the studio though, and this might not be obvious to guys unless you've done it, but often what you're hearing is a not so dirty amp that's being run through either like an LA2A compressor, which is a tube compressor, adds really lovely distortion to any signal, adds texture to it, right? And or an 1176, which is it's not tube, but it adds really nice distortion to a guitar amp, and it has a setting where you push all the buttons in, and it's a sound you've heard your whole life. So you run a deluxe into that, or an AC30 into that, or a Plexi into that, or a JCM 800 into that, or whatever. It's a sound. You can get that sound. Um, and then after that, there's an old EQ that most high-end studios have called a Pultec, Pultec. Look that up. It's a tube EQ. You can also push that into a little bit of distortion. And then lastly, it'll be a preamp, like a Neve preamp. The most common preamps you see are like Neve or API or an SSL 4000. There's a lot of other great ones, but those are really common. And each of those preamps, especially the Neve, you can also, they have little transformers in them, so you can push them into a little bit of distortion. So what you're hearing is the amp and the microphone going in through a compressor that might be distorting a little bit, and an EQ that might be distorting a little bit. Um, and what are you doing back there, dogs? Hey, quit that mischief. But and then finally, your preamp, which is distorting. So when you think, oh, I really love the sound of Billy Gibbons guitar on DeGuelo. Man, there's a lot of processing going on there. That amp was not that dirty. Even now, when you listen to like Tool or bands like that, big, heavy bands, that sound is not what they're doing in the studio. Um, so the unfortunate thing is everybody wants to get an amp that sounds like their favorite record. It's pretty hard to do. So people are often stunned, like when they hear a Plexi in person, they go, "It's really not very dirty, is it?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's a big, stiff, especially 100 watt. It's a big, stiff, pretty clean amp. Like they don't distort till you get up to about 7, at which point your eyebrows are melting off your face, and it's still not even very dirty. A lot of guys just put pedals in front of them, and so usually what you're hearing, like if it was an 80s record, you're hearing a rat pedal. If it's a 90s record, you're probably hearing a tube screamer. If it's a 2000s record, you're hearing a clon in front of an amp. No one just plays that dirty. So even with those big, like I'm familiar with the Dietzel VH4, and it's pronounced Dietzel, not Diesel. The Z sound in German is a TS. So Dietzel. Um, and a Plexi is pretty brutal. That's right, Rob. Yeah, they're tough to be in the room with if you got them cranked up. You put a load box on them, it helps. But anyway, so like on the Dietzel, the VH4, that channel 3 is the sound that all these big kind of Cookie Monster bands use. And even in person, it's not that dirty. It's got a lot of bottom to it because it has that resonance control, which a few other people have used really well, like Dave Friedman has it on his, and Reinhold Bogner has it on his, and you can get that the big sound. But even that sound is pretty tough to do when you're playing with other guys. It's too much bottom end on a stage unless it's a huge stage and you have a huge PA. So like playing it in person next to a bass player, next to a kick drum, you kind of lose most of that sound. So a lot of guys just buy amps because they want to play at home and sound like a record they like, which is totally cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, have realistic expectations. So when you hear a Plexi or an AC30, an AC30 is really a bright amp. But everybody think of it as this mid-rangey, woolly, howling kind of sound. It is after you run it through all the signal chain that I told you about is in most studios. Especially back in the 60s and 70s, there's still a lot of tube gear in the studio. And even now, like I go over to Chaplin, the former Henson recording, all of those rooms, man, they have SSL 4000 boards in them. I think a couple rooms have 8000s. But the 4000 is the one all those big 90s rock records were done, like Brendan O'Brien and, so all the Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden and those records, SSL 4000s, right? And then the outboard gear, though, is still the vintage stuff, like an 1176 compressor, a Pultec EQ. Sometimes they'll pull in a little Neve sidecar device where you can run through those for certain tracks. Guys love to run guitars through those. So when you take something as brutal as a Plexi, especially 100 watt, like I can live with a 50 watt. 50 watts is still louder than hell, but it's not as bitey. 100 watt is a really sharp, fast amp. So when you run it through all those things that slow it down and soften it and kind of pour maple syrup on it. Oh yeah, Scotty, if you're on an old record, the tape machine saturated, if you had a Studer, 16 track, you could get some preamp distortion out of that as well. And then the tape itself softens the sound. There's so much software to tape emulation, right? So I'm not saying this to be a Debbie Downer. You should know what you're dealing with, So if you go to buy an amp and you say, I want to sound like my favorite record. Hey, Basil. Basil says, I love a cathode bias high-powered amp. Yeah, 40 watts is as high as you can go and still be cathode biased. But that's a lot of amp. Like an AC30 is really about a 40 watt amp. 30 is just the model. They did a 10, a 15, a 20, and a 30. And it wasn't based on their power. It was just sequence. Two EL84s is 18 to 20 watts, right? So if you do four EL84s, it's going to be 36 to 40 watts. There's even some EL84 amps that are 22 watts, which would mean you get 44 watts, right, with four of them. But anyway, that's loud. An AC30 is as loud as a 50 watt Marshall. But yeah, you have to go to grid biased over 40 watts or it just won't work. The circuit can't handle it. It can't bias. It's too much electricity to bias correctly. So also, cathode bias does not mean class A, by the way. We can talk about that later. It's usually class AB1. Class A is single-ended. You can't have a push-pull amp that's technically class A. It doesn't work. But people throw that word around loosely a lot. Anyway, so I'm trying to make amps that where you sit down and play, it sounds great, but it might not sound like a record. And that gives you the platform where you can put your own pedals or your own seasoning or whatever you want to do on top of it. But if you get an amp that already sounds like it's a record, which a lot of guys make amps you just plug in, it sounds like a record. That's cool, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I get it. Like I have a little convertible. It's an automatic transmission. I wish it was a stick. But I can get in and drive around in LA and not worry about it. If I had a stick, I'd probably be pretty sick of it, driving in traffic in LA. So anyway, if you're happy, it's great. If you like it, it's the best amp in the world. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm not being a gear page snob. I'm the opposite of that. If you're happy, I am happy. But I make a specific thing for, certain people. Is it better or worse? That's up to you. I don't know, and I don't care. I just know that I like it, and I know it works for my hands, and sounds that in my ear sound good. That's about it. So yeah, you didn't know that about Vox. Yeah, an AC30 is minimum a 36 watt amp, minimum. The B plus voltage on those amps are pretty high, so a lot of it has to do with modern voltages coming out of the wall. But no, I've owned quite a few AC30s, and we put them on the bench at 65 and measure them at 41, 42 watts total output. I mean, it's dirty. Scotty Bratcher says, I am people. Yes, you are people too, Scotty. You're my people, by the way. Scotty and I were talking about the oxygen content in soil yesterday, about farming. Um, it's kind of funny we talk about that. Like, times are kind of tough right now for a lot of people, and gasoline's going through the roof, which that means food's going to get expensive. That means clothing's going to get expensive. Everything, because everything we consume comes to us using fossil fuels. Trains, planes, automobiles, trucks, all burn diesel or gasoline. So, with the cost of that going up, that means everything's going to get expensive for a while. So, buckle up for that. Um, like I went and had coffee with a friend of mine this morning, and I had a bowl of fruit and a cup of coffee. All of that came here using gasoline and diesel. So when that goes up, like I paid $5.90 for premium yesterday in LA at a cheap gas station. Already I can see the nice gas stations, the posh gas stations, premiums up to $6.80 a gallon just from yesterday. Because, hey, dogs, hey, let's stop. Sorry. Um, I know in the Midwest and in the South, gas is a lot cheaper. We burn a special blend of gasoline here in California. It's not just taxes. That's kind of a myth from the California haters. We burn a cleaner version of gasoline here because of the smog and the amount of cars that are smashed in here together. So it costs more to make. Our taxes are marginally higher than some states, and they're lower than other states. But the myth is California is a high-tax state. God damn it! It's just not true. That's political nonsense. Don't buy into it. You're smarter than that. But I know gas is $2 or $3 cheaper, or $2 cheaper a gallon in some states, and it's not because of taxes. But anyway. And the predictions are here that it could go to $7 or $8 a gallon. So hopefully that doesn't slow us down in what we're trying to do. I got slowed down last year by the tariffs, and then now just when we're finally getting rolling, oh, wait a minute, fuel's going to go through the roof, which means groceries are going to go through the roof, which means eating out's going to go through the roof, which means getting your kids new sneakers for school is going to be more expensive. Replacing your refrigerator is going to be more expensive. Everything. So hopefully this ends soon. And by the time we're in production and shipping amps, it's not a concern. That's my hope. That's my prayer. And not just for myself, but for you guys as well. This is a worldwide thing, not just the United States, even though this so-called war is us, which is neat. But it's going to affect everyone on Earth because they all buy oil. You're about $1.32, £1.32, excuse me, £1.40 a liter here. What does that equate to in a gallon? Price per gallon. I could ask Siri to do it. Hey Siri, what is the price for gasoline that is £1.42 per liter in US dollars and gallons?
Okay, I found this on the web. For what is the price for gasoline that is £1.42
okay.
per liter?
Yeah, I got you. I got to go to a website to look it up. Somebody want to do it? You're 335 in Connecticut. That's great. What were you a month ago? Let's see here. Enterprise per liter, not in US dollars, but in GBP. Price per liter of, what was it, £1.40? Oops. £1.40 per liter is $7.07 a gallon. Not too much higher than we are in California. That's a lot higher than the rest of the country. So yeah, Rob, you've gone up 60 cents in the past week. I've gone up. I'm going up about a. Well, the other day I filled up my car. It had gone up $1 a gallon in the last couple weeks, and I haven't put any gas in the car for a while. But I'm just driving back. You know, they have these things in LA. Like if your gas station's close to the freeway, they just kill you, right? So the ones that were by close to a freeway exit were $6, and I use premium, so it was $6.89 a gallon. Fuck. You know, I remember looking at gas going to 250, going, "That's it. I'm not driving." Um, so yeah, things could get weird. I hope it's okay, and I hope it's okay for all of you guys as well. I hope it doesn't hurt your families or any of the plans you have. That's what I'm hoping myself. Anyway, I should probably get going. I need to get some food in my belly, and I got some work to do today. But man, we talk about all kinds of crazy nonsense. The bottom line is we're going back into production. Things are moving forward, and I'm really happy about it. I had a great meeting this morning. The guy that I met was with my lawyer, and we're getting everything in order. Need to get the domain back, which I think I can do, hopefully in a civilized, nice way. And then we'll have a new website up here shortly. I'm probably going to resurrect the old website for now and edit it down to just the 2 amps we're going to be making, and then while we create a new website. All of that requires budget. So you see why I need to sell some gear. So you guys want to help? I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, I should go. I'm getting hangry. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks so much for sitting around talking with me. I hope this just finds you well. For those of you watching the recording, I'm sorry I missed you. I hope everything is good in your world, and I look forward to talking soon. I'm going to have some pretty good updates by next week. So in the meantime, somebody buy this gear from me. Oh, thanks, man. Spruce Creek Traders. Thank you. I appreciate it. Over there on YouTube. Unfortunately, the Facebook people can't see the YouTube comments and vice versa. So there's mostly Facebook comments today. Comments, not comics, comments. And for some reason, something screwed up on Facebook and didn't hook up on every page. But Dan Steinhardt here from TPS shouts out 65 amps, praises every. All right, thank you, man. If there's anybody dealers watching, if you want to start carrying 65 again, let me know. It's not a big buy-in, 2 amps, and we'll get you rolling. One of each, and a little Elvis and a Stone Pony. And let's start talking about that. I'm going to have real prices, hopefully in about a week. So anyway, once again, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your thoughts. I wish you all the best through these weird times we're all experiencing. You too, Haas. Have a great day, buddy. And I appreciate that. I will take you up on that offer, Haas. Thank you very much, buddy. You're a real friend. I appreciate that. We got to meet in person sometime. Anyway, I do got to run. Most sincere best, everybody. I want the best for all of you guys, and trust me, it's all going to turn out okay. Jerry, thanks. Says he's going to play his Soho tonight. Absolutely. Do that. And to be continued. I love you guys. Like I say, it's all going to be all right. We'll talk real soon.